I once again welcome all the delegates and our first speaker of the day. Friends, we have prepared this 2 day programs. There are 8 speakers, and the theme, as already informed by Rajesh ji, is information technology transforming the profession. What is the concept? What we have requested the all the speakers to cover 3 aspects on all the topics. One is basic concept behind every topic. Say our first topic is cloud computing. So what is the basic concept behind the topic? What is the importance and future? And the third aspect, which is most important, is how we can use it in our day-to-day profession. That also will be covered by all these speakers today.
Thank you so much. Really nice to meet all of you virtually. And I hope all of you are doing safe and doing good wherever you are. The concept of cloud has significantly changed. What was presumed as a luxury many years back has now become a necessity. The world is heading into an era where you would no longer want to own up the systems for the sheer reason that you need to sit and maintain them. Because the amount of time you spend in maintaining these systems, you have the patches, you have the vulnerabilities which keeps on coming, it is only increasing by the day. And therefore, today, most of them today are actually looking into starting to use certain third-party services. Now, what are these third-party services? Let me put it in a very simple language before even we get into the concept. I'm planning to have a little more discussion oriented rather than a presentation oriented because we have enough of literature available. First and foremost, let's take a simple scenario. 4 of your friends within this particular team, all of you decided that, can we have one, literally a large computer. When I use the word large computer, I'm not referring to by size, I'm referring to by the computational power. So let's say a normal computational power, let's say, is 4 gigahertz. You decide to go for 40 gigahertz. Okay. And normal RAM is, let's say, 8 GB. You decide to go for maybe 128 GB RAM. Let's take another scenario. If your hard disk space is 500 GB to 1 TB, you decide to go for a 30 TB or even a 20 TB. So this is fairly massive, and obviously you're not going to store so much amount of information into this. But let's take another scenario. What you decided was this much is a huge capital cost. So all of you put together invested, or one gentleman invested, and you told the other 3 people, hey, you use my resources, whereby you are sharing my resources. Okay, you are sharing my resources and you use them whenever you feel like. I will give you a simple online login portal. You log into Google Chrome, upload, download, do whatever you. It's a very simple setup I give. My dear friends, this is the concept of how a cloud actually came up. A cloud literally means somebody else's database or somebody else's system. It is sitting in somewhere else. And how does it work? It could be sitting somewhere in the the Google servers or the Amazon servers, servers based out of Bombay, anywhere, or Hyderabad. And you are logging in. I repeat, you are logging in from your screen out here into those servers through the internet. Then comes a very interesting question. How does all of this happen, right? What is it that I can do with all of this, right? And that's where you need to clearly understand how should one look into the service models in cloud. And I'm going to quickly bring up this particular image or a slide which you can see. And this is something which people you would have seen, many of them have spoken of, many of them have, sort of told this is how it works, X, Y, Z. But the most critical thing is identification of what these pillars are. In any cloud computing scenario, what you see in the first is what you notice in the traditional system. That right from the networking, the storage, the server, the virtualization layer, the operating system, the data and the application is fully driven by the organization. Today, all of us are moving away from this and they're saying that, hey, can we move into a system where I have very restricted responsibility and I will take care of only this, somebody else takes care of that. And it is also cost effective. And more importantly, it is scalable. And what do you mean by scalable? The more you want, the more you take, the less you want, the less you do it. To give a very simple example, Netflix, right, is hosted on Amazon Web Services. Amazon Web Services is an infrastructure as a service. I'm going to come and speak about it a few minutes from now. During the initial period of lockdown, you had so much of people talking about various things. Webinars were going on one side. Zoom share prices was skyrocketing. The number of Zoom downloads, whether legally or illegally, started increasing. But equally, what happened was the consumption or the number of people using applications such as Netflix, TikTok increased. Now, the way Netflix and TikTok had an agreement with their respective cloud service providers were very simple. The more the number of my users come, the more is the consumption of the processing power and the pace at which I need to deliver. So I am going to pay you based on that. For all you know, there were cases where at peak time, they had literally paid 3 to 4 times of the price compared to that of a normal time. You never know that. Or maybe during a particular time zone, the number of people who were making TikTok videos were so very high that they had to take additional, computational power from Amazon or Google for that matter. And that is the extent of flexibility. And the beauty is, if you are done with it, you're over. Now, one might obviously ask a question, can my GST department come onto the cloud, or can my income tax website come onto the cloud so that more number of people it can accommodate? Those are different discussions. We'll probably take it offline. So what does this cloud entitle to you to? That means what you saw as a computer has logically been, physically components are there, but logically they've been separated. That somebody owns the computer, somebody provides the network, somebody provides the so-called server, and you are accessing it from somewhere else. Now imagine a setup where everything was provided, the traditional, including mail servers. If you go back 10, 15 years back, right? Today, all of us have at least a Gmail account or, any of those. In fact, today I was reading a funny blog which says, based upon the email ID a person has, you can figure out which generation the person is. I think it made sense. Yahoo.com, if anybody is having an email ID, there are at least 10 to 20 years backwards, or 20 to 20 years when they had created their account, Yahoo.com was dominating. And today we all know it's Gmail, probably in Gmail, Outlook, etc. Few years down the lane, we don't even know whether email as a technology is going to be there. Anyways, keep that apart. So which means predominantly people had their own servers, their own dedicated infra. Today it is going more and more towards a shared responsibility model. And when the shared responsibility model came, there are 3 models which came up. A beautiful thing: infrastructure as a service, a platform as a service, and a software as a service. You have to put this, ignore the technological parlance. I'm often known to demystify the technological components in a non-technological fashion. Let's put it in a very layman's language. You had a fair bit of land. Let's say, somewhere you wanted to construct a commercial property. Ignore COVID and other things. Let's say you had some enough resources. You build a 3-story structure, basement parking, ground first and second. You build a 3-story structure. Now you're not sure whom to give it as a tenant. You could give it to a hotel. You could give it to a restaurant. You could give it to a hostel or a paying guest. You could give it to a college, an IT company. You never know. But if you look into all of these fellows, each of them want the interiors and the structure to be a little different. So what did you do? You started constructing the bare shell of your if load property. When I use the word bare shell, I'm just drawing it on the left hand side of my screen. Let me know if you're able to see this. I am just constructing a pillars, right? A pillars, roofing. That's it. Pillars, roofing, of course, staircase. Obviously, how else will you go? Right? I'm creating a bare shell, and I'm not doing anything more than that. And then I put out a two-let board saying that whoever is interested, please let me know. I will build it to suit, custom fit. Now, this is a situation A. Situation B, you figured out that this doesn't make sense. Let me build it, let me construct the walls, let me keep all the basic facilities available. I know it is some service industry who will come and take up. I know ground floor only a showroom can take up. So you are fairly clear. That means you're more or less fine-tuned it. Or third, you can move into one more system where you yourself create the office, you yourself create the workspace, you create the interior designing, everything. People just come, plug and play, work, and disappear. Three models. The same three models is how you can relate a cloud infrastructure today.